I'm Krystina with GBMC, and here with me today is Jana Wolff, a registered dietitian with GBMC Healthcare and GBMC's comprehensive obesity management program. So we're going to touch on the nutritional side of the program today, but also about weight management more generally, including how to bring better consistency and intention to your health journey. So we'll start with comp. If someone's interested in pursuing bariatric surgery, where and how do you fit into the journey?
Yeah, so first a patient would go to gbmc.org/weight loss. They'd click get started, and you'd actually interact with our front desk. You'd make an appointment for your first session, meet the surgeon, and then you would start working with a dietitian. So it's either me or our other dietitian in our office, and we would meet virtually or in person, and you get group sessions, educational sessions, plus individual counseling sessions.
And why is that piece so important to the overall journey?
Well, first off, the insurance requires it. So if you are interested in getting surgery, there are insurance requirements that include the nutrition education sessions. But otherwise, these habits that folks have to form before surgery should be reflecting what they're doing after surgery. And there's a lot of major behavioral changes that have to happen before getting surgery so that you can mentally, physically, emotionally prepare for these big changes.
For some patients, there's a lot more behind their journey with weight loss than just choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a real difference between emotional eating and eating for fuel. Can you talk about how that can impact a person's weight management journey?
Sure. I mean, everyone, no matter who you are, eats for both fuel and emotional purposes, because food innately produces things like dopamine in our brain, and we connect our memories and experiences with other people through food. But there is this sort of line that we can cross emotionally where we start to eat for things like boredom, stress, coping with depression or anxiety, even procrastination. I mean, think about when you have an assignment due and all of a sudden you're in the kitchen eating because you don't feel like doing it. So, our subconscious sort of tells us to go for these foods, eat these foods so that we can deal with whatever we're feeling. But I always tell our patients, if you can name it, you can tame it. So if you can name the feeling, then you can usually address the feeling and you would not need food as an outlet for whatever is going on emotionally. What I think patients and just the general population needs to know is that any nutrition changes, whether they're emotional or fueling yourself or just going grocery shopping, those changes take time, and it's not like, okay, overnight we're going to make an overhaul of our entire lifestyle.
Yeah.
The minute that you start thinking about food, seeing food, smelling food, your brain actually starts to produce enzymes in your mouth. That's salivating, and you're ready to start eating. So if you're in the environment where the food is, then you're gonna wanna eat it. That's why I tell my patients sometimes, hey, if you feel stressed and the first thing you think is, let me go grab a snack, what you might wanna do is just stand up, take a quick drink of water, and go outside. Take a fresh breath of air, remove yourself from the environment, because that might actually significantly help. And after a good 10-15 minutes, that craving or that feeling of really wanting something that your body might actually not need can go away.
So in talking about this, I think it's important to mention you wanted to make a key distinction between food and nutrition, and that we really need to be focusing more on the latter. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, I think that sometimes with our society, we're on the go all the time, most people. And that leaves us very little time for ourselves to plan and to go grocery shopping and to really give ourselves balanced meals that could actually fuel us for the day. Oftentimes we go hours and hours without eating, and then all of a sudden you're hangry and you're just grabbing whatever is closest to you, whether it's fast food or just like crackers or something that's really not balanced, that's not going to give you the nutritional value that'll keep you going for the day. And that will also help you, your overall health, because we want to look at things like protein, lean proteins, fruits, vegetables. I call them smart starches, starches that are more like whole grains and less processed starches. So things like sweet potatoes, quinoa, beans, brown rice. And adding those things up into a plate, and some people call it the plate method or my plate. If you can do that for most of your meals where you have that balance of what we call macronutrients, then you're going to feel fueled. You're not going to have as many cravings. Your blood sugar is going to be managed a little bit better. And you might even sleep better. You might have a better mood. So there's all of these different benefits that can come from fueling yourself appropriately with better nutrition and not just with the closest food that's around.
What are like 3 key choices people could make today that would make a difference right away?
If you want to start putting together a more balanced plate, get some recipes, look at some of the ideas, online. You're going to be looking up things like lean proteins, vegetables, and smart starches. And you can also look into like quick and easy things like crock pot meals or, Instapot meals or, air fryer meals, things like that are more balanced. And when you go grocery shopping, actually buy the foods for those recipes and pick a couple for the week, Make sure you're thinking about, what am I going to have for breakfast? What am I going to have for lunch? What am I going to have for dinner? How is that going to look for the week? It doesn't need to be a full-on meal plan like you'd see on Pinterest. So it can be something that's more convenient. For instance, instead of getting raw chicken, maybe you get a rotisserie chicken or frozen chicken or turkey burgers, something like that might be about 5-6 minutes to put together. That's a good way to start thinking about your meals. Also, if you're looking at your healthier starches, par-cooked beans and brown rice, already cut up vegetables, things that are a little bit more convenient to put together into a meal, sauces that might be pre-made. Those are all things that you can put together. And then lastly, you do not need to make these all or nothing changes. All or nothing never worked for anyone, because what's the opposite of all? It's nothing. So there's no backup plan. You have to meet yourself somewhere in the middle. I'd rather my patients get a B rather than an A+. 80% of the time, if you're really working on yourself and putting together your meals, you're going to see those benefits nutritionally. Even things like small changes like drinking more water, like getting up more often, having a vegetable at most of your meals. Those are all things that can help.
My 3-year-old needs to drink more water, and we have a really hard time getting her to do it. So I set 3 alarms on my phone, and I had her choose the ringtone. And so every time it goes off, I go, "It's water time," and we cheers and drink together. And it's helped me drink more water. She really loves it because now she hears the tone and goes and gets her water bottle and drinks it. And I feel like she likes turning it off. So it's like a way to engage and remind each other to do it. It's really worked.
Well, making these changes a little bit more fun can really make a big difference. A lot of my patients, they have like the big water bottles that have the notes on it like, "Keep going, you're almost there." And that's really helpful because it's a visual.
Yeah.
And the water bottle is cute. It has all different colors on it. Or you can put lemon, lime, different flavorings into your water. There's also additives that don't have the sugar-free sweeteners like True Lemon, True Lime. Those things are a tiny bit sweet, but they don't really have much in them. They're just crystallized lemon. So those are things that you can add to your drinks. In terms of food, you can start cooking with your family. You can realize that you can add lots of different flavors and textures to your meals. You can look at your favorite, types of recipes, Italian, Mexican, whatever you like, and start to make some healthier versions of those things.
Okay, so you mentioned Googling things, Googling diets and things like that. So is there a reminder that you can share to kind of keep people motivated or encouraged throughout the process?
Yeah, and maybe it's not a reminder, but an FYI that, when you go online, most people are trying to sell something, and they do kind of go after our weaknesses. Maybe we're desperate to lose some weight or to manage our diabetes or to lower our blood pressure. So people online, they typically want to market different products to you to take advantage of the fact that you might be desperate for change. And being aware of that and being more savvy, realizing that there is no magic bullet. You're not going to take one, pill or supplement and be good. It's more likely that you need to make smaller changes to see a bigger change. So I always tell my patients, we're trying to get to the 20th floor, like ultimate health, but there's no elevator. We have to take the stairs, and that is not exciting. It's not sexy. I mean, it's really not. But at the end of the day, there is no one thing that is going to be the answer to your health. It's a matter of lots of different things. And we've talked about some of those things already. Getting your fluids in, getting some lean protein in, fruits, vegetables, increasing your fluid intake, even just more movement, better sleep, better stress management.
They say change or growth should be uncomfortable. If it's not uncomfortable, You're not doing it right.
Yes. And then, also we can flip the script and say it shouldn't be so uncomfortable that it's not manageable long term.
True.
So those small changes can be slightly uncomfortable, but we do get used to them. Yeah. Humans adapt to change. So, and also if you're getting some really good feedback, if your body's giving you good feedback about this change, you're more likely to do it. It's a good incentive. So when I talk to some of my patients and they start, let's just say, eating breakfast, they'll say, wow, I really didn't realize that I was dragging for most of the day. And they're not eating a big breakfast. I'm talking about like a piece of fruit and a boiled egg and maybe a yogurt. I mean, nothing crazy. Mm-hmm. So that's the type of change that can actually make a huge difference. Just going grocery shopping, getting the stuff on hand, eating it, and then getting it again, going grocery shopping again and again and again so you can build that habit.
What are your feelings on supplements?
Supplements aren't heavily regulated in the US, so sometimes we don't know the quality of them. Also, most people don't need supplements if their meals are balanced and nutritious, and they're getting what they need from their diet. So people might not actually need supplements unless they're diagnosed with a deficiency.
So you have a question about weight management, where's the first place you go? Google. And there's tons of misinformation, conflicting information out there. What should people be keeping in mind when they're diving in?
Yeah, so usually we're desperate for an answer right away. When we Google, we're used to getting things, right off the bat. So just remembering that anytime you're Googling information about weight loss specifically, it will usually entail someone marketing something at you, for you to buy it or for you to follow them, whatever it might be. There's usually something that the person will gain from whatever you're Googling. So just remember that, again, change takes time. If this looks like a very quick fix or the magic bullet or the number one answer to your needs, it might not be, and it might not work for long term.
What are 3 key choices people can make today to put them in a positive direction?
Yeah, number one, if you have a big goal, pick one action item. You don't have to do everything all at once. So for instance, if it's just increasing your fluid intake, start by getting a nice water bottle. Number 2, slip, don't slide. So 80% of the time, if you're really focusing on your habits and you let it go 20% of the time, that's still a major success, and it's actually better than being perfect all the time. And number 3, try to get yourself a dietitian or a therapist, whatever your needs are, because dietitians can essentially help you with your specific, unique needs and your health background.